Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we are going into game number 2 in a 6-game series between Larva and BarrackS. Right now, BarrackS does lead 1-0. That was a very good pressure game in game number 1 from BarrackS. You know, I think he is a very good Terran vs. Zerg player. He's got the speed to be able to play the matchup. For people wondering, it's considered that Terran vs. Zerg, when you're playing a bio, like Marine Medic Science Vessel, is mechanically the hardest thing to do in all of esports. It is pretty wild, and you can even see the very best players, like literally the fastest Terran in the world, had 1.5 thousand minerals to 2,000 minerals basically for 10 minutes straight. Well, not 10 minutes, but you know, like 7-8 minutes there at the end. But yeah, it's wildly hard to do. But he did a great job, I think. And, you know, Larva down 0-1. Like, obviously, Larva playing this doesn't know that he's in a 6-game series, since this is the second time he queued into BarrackS in a row. But we'll see how he can do. The ASL champion, I think. I do still favor him in this series overall, but we'll see. We're on Vermeer, a great 4-player map. Lots of expansions all around the place. Should be fun to see. There's no mineral-only bases here, just to mention, right? So wherever BarrackS wants to, wherever Larva wants to expand, he will gain more gas. That is an important thing for Zerg. In the matchup for Terran, it's like, okay, the third gas can be a little bit important for late-game macro, but honestly, I've never seen a Terran player playing bio that could spend four gases. I've literally never seen it. It's just like the amount of vessels you would have if you're making vessels, like you would have to switch into battle cruisers because nothing else really makes sense. Because like if you went 4-port vessel, no one in the world can control that. Honestly, like it can be smart for people. Like if you're an up-and-coming Terran player, let me give you a little piece of advice. Stop at about 6 vessels and make things like drop ships and battle cruisers after that, because you're going to have a hard time managing 6 vessels. Or, I mean, if you feel like you can manage 6, go for 8, right? But when you start getting above that, like if you have a cloud of 12 vessels, I can't manage it. I see pros that can't manage it. It's like, it gets to be too much. It's just like the amount of spells that you have to cast, the speed at which they're regaining mana, the amount that they're clumped, they'll just get plagued, right? It's like, now, if you do want to play just like the pure vessel, it can be smart to split the vessels into multiple groups. If you have a cloud of 12 flying around, you can't even pick out the ones that really have energy. And you might do like massive irradiates where 5 irradiates go down on one base, that type of thing. Anyways, you know, just a couple tips for anyone who's actually playing the game and maybe wants to improve their results a little bit by strategically playing with their weaknesses. Right? I think that's a reasonable thing to do, because everyone has those weaknesses and can adjust their play. That includes pro players, right? As a pro player, you can look at it and be like, I'm not that good at this aspect of the game. Let me do this to kind of fix that. And you can use strategy to fill in those holes sometimes. Okay, taking a look at these builds. This is a standard build from Larva where he's going 2 hatch. It's probably going to be a Mutalisk build. Good scouting from BarrackS overall. He scouted Larva first again, so he's pretty lucky there. And he's going 2 racks Academy. Right, so a nice fast academy. You know, he has the 2 barracks and only 2 depots right now. I'm surprised he fit that 5th Marine and the 6th Marine. Wow. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I guess he did lose the scouting SCV. But this is generally a very, very tight build. Now, what we're seeing with the Academy Rush is you're going to want to try to pressure Zerg into making Sunkens. Now, that being said, there's a fair amount of speedlings being made. So we might see an attack, like 10 speedlings could do pretty well. Notice he's pulling the SCV. He knows that speed would be done. He makes a depot, and this blocks a lot of the surface area. So if you attack in, your lings can split into 2 different areas. He's trying here. And in fact, BarrackS decides to go to the ramp because that is a lot of lings. So the SCV drill comes up and blocks for the most part. He loses a couple Marines, but this is a strong block so far. Right? And don't forget, like, if you're making all these lings, you're not making drones. And, ooh, that was an excellent, excellent defense from BarrackS. Really well done. Now, unfortunately, during this, he queued up 3 medics here and 0 here. So he's only going to have a single medic. If you have 2 medics here, you're going to feel very powerful and move immediately across the map. He might still do that because he's still within his timing. This is actually... He did this build really well. I think he must have cut an SCV in here, because this is a serious amount to be moving out with at 5 minutes, considering what we've seen. And he did lose 2 Marines in that previous fight. So BarrackS right now moving out, and he is going to force the 2 sunken colonies, of course. This is what the build is basically designed to do. I don't think he'll actually attack here. This doesn't look like a good attack. Oh my god, he's going for it. Yeah, the second sunken pops up, and he ends up losing... Well, he only lost a couple Marines there, and he did get the Lings, so it's not the end of the world. That did look a little bit scary, though. If there was a few more Lings that had been made, I think he had a good read that there wasn't, but if there were, that could have gone much, much worse. Now, mutas are popping right now, okay? He's flying across the mutas very, very quickly. We don't have the turrets yet, right? The turrets need to start as the mutas are popping to be done by the time the mutas get there. So we might get a little bit of damage here from Larva. Now, he only has 5 mutalisks, and, of course, BarrackS knows that. He knows how the game works economically, so... it's going to take 2 swipes to kill an SCV, right? Still, he's getting a fair amount here. And this is not a healthy SCV count. 24 is very weak for this time. You want to have like 31 to 33 if you can, okay? Like, so we've had a little bit of a hiccup in this economy. He's killed off a fair amount. Wow. I mean, 18 drones against 23 SCVs, right? This is pretty legit right now for Larva. Sending more mutas in. He is getting ready for another base. His Firebat is waiting to find the drone. This is the best location, really, for Larva to take. Oh, if he notices he can stim, he could have stimmed and killed it. But Larva's going to be able to start the hatchery. Yep. Oops. You know, BarrackS was doing other things at the time. He just didn't notice. He was on patrol with that Firebat, so he just followed it back. Unfortunate for him, because he could have stalled out that third base for quite a bit longer. The one Firebat can't do anything against buildings, really. So he'll clean that up eventually. He'll either send like a couple Lings down or maybe a Mutalisk. We'll see. But the 6 mutas, well, 6 is not a good number because you can't one-shot those SCVs. Loses another 2? 3 on the way out. So BarrackS punishing him a little bit for that dive in, but still, I like a lot of things about Larva's position. If you look at that worker count, 26 to 23, it gets scary when Zerg is near you in that worker count. And again, this is not a solid economy. You can see that BarrackS here is only on 2 barracks. And if you're only on 2 barracks, well, that's not enough to move out with, basically. Because if you lose your army, you can never remake it. Like, okay, so just as a quick beginner's guide, I guess, to Marine move-outs against 2 hatch muta, 2 barracks you can barely hold with a lot of turrets. And you can see he's got a lot of turrets, right? Because he's on 2 barracks. If you have 3 barracks, you can stand here and threaten moving out. If you have 4 barracks, you'll move around more in this range and reinforce, and it'll move back and forth reinforcing. Okay, so that's kind of the range of what you can do with barracks counts based on how many units you're going to have and how quickly you're producing units. Anyways, we have a group of 11 mutas here. That is a full group. He's going to be flying in. Ooh, it's going to be a tank push. And Valkyries. All right, very cool stuff. I'll talk about that in a moment. But right now, it's important to see what Larva gets done. Because, again, it's not that many Marines. You can see how defensively BarrackS is sitting here. He's got groups of Marines at literally all the turrets. It's really good defense. But he knows, right? He knows that with just 2 barracks, he has to play incredibly defensively. Like, if he brings his Bioforce out here, Larva will kill it, and then BarrackS will never have enough units for his move out. So right now, ooh, he needs to get that started again. It's going to be Valkyrie Siege Tank. I want to take a look at what Larva's got going on. That is a late Queen's Nest, okay? The Siege Tank is a third of the way done, and the Queen's Nest just finished. So what this tells us is that BarrackS can hit a 2 Siege Tank move out and break the natural before Consume is done. Now, Larva has ways he might be able to slow that down, but just talking about the amount of time everything takes to build, to research and everything, Consume will not be done when his tanks are breaking the Sunkens. And look at this. Larva knows. Like, these guys, you know, pros know all of these things. He's adding a ton of Sunkens right now. Well, this is heavily because of the move out as well. He knows that there's a transition happening for Larva, so Larva actually didn't make over 11 mutas. He's made like no Zerglings as well. But he's going to need these Sunkens for multiple things, for holding off the Bioforces, but also for holding off that siege tank push. He is going to need to buy some time there. Now, the add-on almost done, so Valkyrie is going to get started. It's going to get, I would imagine, 2 or 3 Valkyries. But it really matters on what we have for a Mutalisk count. Does he feel like he needs a vessel quickly? That type of thing. Also, he does need to save some... Oh, my God. Oh, this is the biggest thing that's happened this game. I think BarrackS is going to go up 2-0. Yeah, he is getting insane damage. Goes after the drones as opposed to trying to target the hatchery. So he's going for guaranteed damage. If you go for the hatchery and you lose the Marines, it's like no damage was done. But yeah, here he went for the 100% damage. I think the hatchery gets saved, but losing that many drones is truly gigantic. Only 4 mutas remain. Excuse me. So the Valkyrie's not actually going to be very useful. Like, he does have a second Valkyrie that's about to finish, but like at this point he doesn't need him. Oh, wow. It's actually a very late move out as well. You see how he has 3 tanks. Nowadays, we normally see 2 tank move outs. Either way, we'll see if he still has the time to get there. We have the Defiler Mound like halfway done. So yeah, I think he's still totally fine on this timing. The 3 Sunkens should be able to, or the 3 tanks should be able to break through the Sunkens very, very quickly. Little lurker trap there, but not enough, unfortunately. Utilizes those scans. It is important to save the scans in a situation like this. One of the tanks is actually very, very low. Can he dive in? I don't think he can. By the way, Greater Spire coming up. Greater Spire can be a good counter. Guardians have high base armor of 2, I believe. So it's reasonably good against the Valks. And then, like, obviously against the siege tank push, Guardians are just solid. Man, loses more lurkers there in the back. Everything going wrong right now for Larva, unfortunately. Greater Spire still coming up. Will 4 Guardians be enough to really change the tide here? Not entirely sure. He is mining a lot of gas over at this base. That's all he's remade as far as drones at the moment. And you can see the problem with the later Defiler, right? It used to be the meta to go for 3 to siege tank pushes all the time, and then Defiler timings just came forward, and so that's how the game kind of changed a lot. Oh my God! Oh my God! That was crazy. He just sacrificed a ton of Marines. Got to be careful about that. Excuse me. And yeah, the Valkyries will shred a bunch of these Scourge. If he gets the hatchery, I mean, we can basically consider this game over. It's pretty bad right now for Larva, but we don't have like infinity supply. Oh my God. Dude, 4 siege tanks you just really can't run up into like that, unfortunately, for Larva. The Guardians are out. And, well, the Scourge are trying to keep the Valkyries away from the guards. Like, these Guardians with a lurker underneath could technically kill this army, except for the Valks. So that's kind of the issue. So Larva loses this hatchery. BarrackS certainly in a good spot. Yeah, he's going into Wraith at this point as well. 1-star port Wraith. Doesn't really need more than that. That's just like a safety precaution in case there's like a Guardian over his natural, that type of thing. He'll probably make 1 or 2 maximum. The Valkyries clearing out this air. Consume is done. It does not matter, though, as the tank's going to splash everything to death pretty much. Yeah, I guess like a lurker comes out. I tell you, the Larva fights to the last. That's for sure. But BarrackS 100% has already won this game. You know, that Marine attack down here was just too much. You know, you lose all the drones down there to someone of BarrackS level. He's so good at continuing to pile on the macro, to pile on that pressure. Scourge come in. They do end up killing a Valkyrie. Looks like great micro there with that slide back. And kills all the Scourge with the other 2 Valks as well. Brought SCVs down for some repairing. And, well, maybe not. Just sending that off. It would be good to repair. There's a lot of very damaged mechanical units right now. Larva, I mean, he's got the Defilers, and he knows that the vessel count doesn't really exist. Honestly, in my opinion here, you make a few more fire bats on average, and you pull your tanks back into a defensive spot, or you could go like spider mines here and lay it, because right now you have to look at this position and say, okay, I've won this game. How could I lose? In theory, how could I lose? And really only a Defiler attack, right? Because there's just not a lot of irradiates. So like if you have burrowed lurkers under Dark Swarms, things can go wrong. Doesn't seem possible here, but you know, just kind of trying to think about what could get you. Now he brings up the vessels. He's going to be able to break through these lurkers in a matter of seconds. And this hatchery going to end up dying again, I think. GG is called. And BarrackS going to go ahead and take this game and go up 2-0 against the ASL champ. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.